Hey modelers, Engineer Jeff here, and in this tutorial we're going to paint some Bane Knights. These guys are on here. It's all about the Cryx, no living. I guess some of them are alive, aren't they? No matter. So I got to get some more Cryx troops painted up, and this guy is a Bane Knight. I only have 6 of them because I didn't get the big box set, the one that's got all the, like, I guess, what, 10 of them in it or something like that. I just got this 6-man set. Had them a little while. And got them built up, primed them black with Stynylrez black made by Badger Airbrush. And then I went through and dusted it from the top with white, so I can kind of see where my shadows and highlights are going to fall. And you can kind of get a look at it like so. I figure the Bane Knights are kind of an elite unit, so I'm going to give them kind of more of a gold color. And anytime I paint gold or bronze, I like to come in with you know, a nice brownish red color as my base. So what we're going to do, I'm going to airbrush this on, and this is Tank Brown by Vallejo Model Air. Got my compressor set to about 18 psi. I'm going to shoot it straight, no thinning, with this Badger Chrome. And after I've sufficiently painted my fingers up, you know, something like that. It's brown, nice reddish brown color, which is a good base for your bronzes and golds and things like that. Now what we'll do is come in with this bright bronze by Vallejo Game Air and go over the areas that we want it to be nice gold color. So you get a little something like that. It's probably not a bad idea to wear gloves when you do this. So now what we'll do after we get this base coat down of brass, I'm going to come in and just hit the tops of his armor, places where we want to kind of highlight up with Glorious Gold by Game Air. You gotta shake the heck out of this stuff, because if it settles, you're just gonna get like this weird mix coming out. So shake it well. And we're just going to go over and hit the tops. Got something a little like that. After the coat's dried enough, I'm going to come in and I'm going to touch up some areas here that I like to put like a more of an iron or steel color to kind of contrast with the gold. And for that I use Vallejo Model Air Steel. We're going to brush that on. I'm putting it on this stuff that kind of looks like chainmail. Take your time, have fun with it. If you get a little on someplace where you don't want it, don't sweat it, because you can always go back over and touch it up with some gold. So there's little tiny areas kind of right up in here. Just want to try to get your paint brush up in there. And this brush is flaying out a little bit, so some spots here too. Hate that brush. Get a better one. Get rid of the crap brush and got me my Winsor Newton Series 7. We need to take care of them, they'll last you a long time. I use brush cleaner on mine. It's I think it's got some mineral spirits or something like that, and every couple weeks I'll let them soak for a little bit, and it pulls the paint out of the ferrule, stuff that you've got crusted up in there that's keeping the brush from snapping back. One of these days I'll do a video of that. Some of these Winsor Newtons that I've got are several years old. I guess I'm not as hard on brushes as some other people are. I'm going to paint these little spikes on the shield. Feel free to spin the model around, you know. Make it easy on yourself to paint. I kind of have to hold it a certain way so you guys can see what I'm doing, but you get the picture. And so while you've got the steel color out, you can go ahead and paint the blade. But I'm not obstructing your view here. I like to spin the model around so that I get it to where my hands can hold it better. These halberds, or whatever they are, the shaft bends real easy on them. So when everything is said and done, you should have something like that. It kind of covers our metals. So what I'm going to do is wait for the camera to focus. And this is Vallejo Model Air light brown. And I'm going to paint the skull with this color. And I'm going to do the hands as well, I think. So you got a little extra gold poking through there from before, don't sweat it. We're going to do a wash here in a little bit, and that should obliterate any gold that's still sticking out there. So follow up that color with Vallejo Bone White right on the tips. These things are actually pretty easy. They're not quite as easy as Necrons. They don't paint themselves, but you can take a pretty simple paint job and make them look pretty good for the tabletop. Something like that. So now we'll take some Vallejo Game Air Dark Green, and we're going to paint the robe or whatever it is he's wearing. You may have to do a couple coats of this to get good coverage on the over the gold that's kind of been dusted over there. I'm painting this stuff straight out of the bottle, so maybe 2 coats tops for good coverage. Just kind of slapping the paint on at this point. Seen some people make these kind of spectral, because I guess they got an ability that makes them kind of go intangible. That's neat too. I'm not going for that look. If you really bugger it up, get something green where you don't want it, you can always wait for it to dry or hit it with a hairdryer. And come back over it again. So after everything's dried up, you should have something a little like that. Green, silver, kind of a bronze that highlights up to a higher gold, and some bone. So what we're going to do here is take some sick green and kind of go over the highlights on the robe, and then we'll do another coat after that of Escorpina green as a final highlight. Just kind of go down the folds. I've watered down this sick green a little bit, so it's going to flow into some of these recesses. Again, not too concerned about it. Sometimes I'll spin it back around, see if there's a spot I've missed. I'll go with the Escorpina green and just hit the extreme highlights. So in addition to Cryx, I got Troll Bloods for hordes. I'm going to try to paint some of those up here soon as well, on the hopes that once I get my gaming room done, I will be able to get some folks down my neck of the woods to play some War Machine, or War Hordes. Not too much to look at, but it's kind of what you got at this point. Now you can take a green wash. I've got some leftover Thraka green, and I'm going to wash the robe, and then we're going to move on and wash the rest of the armor. Just going to go over it like so. This will smooth some of the transition between the Escorpina green and the other colors, and just kind of level it out a little bit. What I'll do is I'll come back over this later if we need to and highlight it up. That's what it looks like once it's dry. Yeah, nothing to write home about yet. Colors are starting to come together. So for the rest of the armor, we're going to use some Agrax Earthshade, or if you got the Dublin Mud, I think I've got a bottle of it somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and use this for the whole thing. Kind of knocks the gold down a little bit, and it'll blend all this. It'll kind of bring all this in together, give you some shading. Anybody else think this Agrax Earthshade stinks? It just doesn't smell right. Maybe I got a bad batch. And hairdryer time. Okay, I had a little issue with the battery dying there, and so while I was painting, I just kept going on my merry way, and then looked over and realized, hey, my battery died. So made a little more progress on the robe here, or whatever this is, the shroud or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna use the dark green to kind of fix the shadows a little bit, give them a little more contrast. We'll come back in and blend it out later. Not going for any award-winning paint jobs here, but we just want to get something nice for the table, because I want to play some War Machine and have fully painted. Just got back from Adepticon and got to watch some of the guys and gals over there playing War Hordes, and got inspired to finish these Cryx up. I'm not exactly traditional painter. I tend to slap paint and kind of work back and forth, hitting multiple layers, and the paint that I use is thinned down enough to where I'm not obliterating detail by going back and forth. So that's kind of what the cloak, or whatever this flowing gown or whatever it is that this guy is wearing looks like afterwards. So something a little like that. We'll take some steel color. Don't need a whole lot of it, because I've already gone through and touched up most of the areas that I need to do. But we're going to paint these spikes. Give them something different to look at. What I'm going to do is take some of the gold that we used to kind of highlight up, and I'm going to mix it in with that silver, and we're going to just hit some spots where we want to do like extreme highlighting. Gives it kind of a dirty look, a dirty silver. Just going to kind of hit some of the spots, the edges. Might reflect light. These look all shined up. That's the technical term, shined up. Forgot that spike. So I'm just going to use the silver that I have on there. That'll be good enough. Just going to kind of work your way around the model. So I get something a little like that. Brings up some subtle highlights and gives you little objects of interest. So now what I'm going to do is take some white and mix it in with the bone white, and we're going to do some highlighting on the bone, the skull and stuff like that. Just at the top of the knuckle of the bone there. I've offloaded most all of the paint on this brush, so it's just barely on there. Kind of makes the bone on my hands stick out. So aside from going back in with a little bit of this Dayglow green that I've got here and touching up the eyes, this thing's pretty much done. If I get a little around the eye, that's okay. It kind of adds to that effect. He's filled with necrotic energy or whatever. And that's the final product right there. And we're going to go back in and touch up the base. Paint it with some brown and paint the outside of the base black. So what I'm doing here is decided I wanted to weather these guys up some more. So in addition to the highlighting, I'm just going over and first of all straightening that. I'm just doing a little bit of a dry brush over the tops. Doing a little bit of dry brush like on the shield to kind of weather it up a little bit, and the main armor. There's one of them with a little more of the weathered armor. Beat the shield up a little bit. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave some comments in the comments field down below. Let me know how you paint your Bane Knights. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your Cryx buddies.